Hello nerds and nerdettes, welcome back to the channel where once again we have a new video for you guys. We are wrapping up the month of September 2024 and entering into October 2024, spooky season, which means we have a whole slew of new releases to talk about on this channel. So today I will be going over my top 10 most anticipated, most exciting releases for the month of October. Now, before we jump into the list, a quick reminder that if you do plan on pre-ordering any of the books that I'm about to mention, to use the channel sponsor organicpricebooks.com. You can use the code STAYNERDY for $2 off your order, or if you're ordering 4 or more books, you can use the code STAYNERDY, ship it together, to save yourself 5% on that entire order. Not only is that huge savings, but it's a great way to contribute to the channel. So thank you for all of you that do decide to use that code. But let's go ahead and jump into the top 10, talk about some of these new books, and of course, we'll be starting with number 10. Before jumping into number 10, a quick reminder that some of these release dates and some of this information can be subject to change. If you find out anything new that is different from the information I'm about to present, comment down below. But at number 10, we do have Frank Miller's Ronin Rising, which is a collector's edition. News to me, I did not know that. We do have a cover price of $40 and a page count of 192 pages. That was all the way at the bottom of the page. So this is pretty much Frank Miller's love letter to old school samurai film in a way. If you're not a fan of Frank Miller, then you may not want to check this out because it is very, very Frank Miller. All of his tropes as a creator when it comes to his storytelling and his artwork is going to be present in this specific title. I don't think it's been reprinted in a very, very long time other than the Absolute, which I want to say is out of print. I'm not the expert here. I don't even collect Absolutes, but I'm pretty sure it's been relatively hard to get your hands on for quite a while now. Now, what is cool about this collector's edition, which is going to be a little something for my manga lovers that are subscribed to the channel, is it is collected in 2 different editions, I believe. We have a almost, it looks like a long format style of print, almost like how 300 is printed. At least that's what it looks like. And then it also has a manga edition. Now, I don't know the difference between the two. I don't know the difference of scale between the two. Obviously, the book isn't out yet. Once I get my hands on it, I can present that to you guys. But honestly, I think both routes are great routes to go. I've never been a huge fan of those longer style books, but this will be one that I'll probably plan on picking up, unless that manga edition is pretty cool. But I'm not 100% sure if they come together or you have to purchase them separate either. So if you guys have any of that information to help out the community, comment down below. I'm not a leading expert. I just work here. I'm a guy talking about books that I'm excited about and trying to get you all excited for the month to come. So, but that does wrap up number 10. I don't want to dive too deep into Frank Miller's Ronin. It is an acclaimed title. Frank Miller is a legend in the community. Very well known for his run on Daredevil, known for 300, Sin City, The Dark Knight Returns, Dark Knight Strikes Again, Dark Knight Master Race, that entire series of books, and Batman Year One. So he is a legend in the world of comics, and I do recommend checking out some of his titles, if not this specific one. But that does wrap up number 10, so let's jump to number 9. Jumping into number 9, we do have Ghost Rider 2099, the omnibus. We do have a cover price of $100, a release date of October 22nd, and a page count of 632 pages. That seems fairly low, but they call everything omnibuses these days. Page count does not matter. So why this is so low in the list, typically the Marvel and DC books are, or they do appear at the top of my list because that's primarily what I read in the comic book world. But Ghost Rider 2099 is yet another title that I have not read. I'm not super well versed in the world of 2099. I've only read Spider-Man 2099, and I believe majority of the Doctor Doom 2099 stuff that's going to be collected in that omnibus when that comes out. But other than that, have not read anything else 2099. So this is one that's on my radar, but not one that I'm as excited about. It does have a lot of really good creators on it, from Len Kaminsky, Chris Bachalo, very early Chris Bachalo, Peter Gross, and a multitude of other creators on this book. So I've always been a huge fan of Elseworld style stories, multiverse stuff. I always think it's fun to take these characters and play with them a bit and not impact the main 616 universe or Prime Earth in DC's world or anything like that. So I am a huge fan of anything multiversal like the 2099 universe or side of things at Marvel. So I do plan on picking up that Doctor Doom title or omnibus, and obviously this Ghost Rider omnibus as well, because I just want to dive into that whole entire world and of course share my thoughts with you guys. This does have a very similar cover as the Doctor Doom omnibus. I don't think it's going to be foil or glossed like the original issues, so that's a little bit of a bummer, but I don't think we're in that realm of Marvel just yet where they're putting the cool foil pages and foil covers and stuff on omnibuses, at least. But it is very exciting to see this 2099 line get built up even more in the omnibus world, and on top of that, the Ghost Rider world get built up in the omnibus format, because up to this point we only have 2 616 omnibuses and the Cosmic Ghost Rider omnibus. So really, Ghost Rider is lacking when it comes to his content being collected in the omnibus format. So very exciting, very pumped to check it out. New material in the big two, which is kind of rare to come by for me as a reader, so I'm even more excited for it, but just not as excited as some of the other books that I'm about to talk about. But that does wrap up number 9, so let's jump on into number 8. And coming in at number 8 is yet another Marvel title that I haven't read. I acted like that was rare to come by, yet here we are with another on the list. Godzilla, the original Marvel years, the omnibus. This has a release date of October 1st, a cover price of $100, and a page count of 440 pages. That does sound accurate because I know this title was fairly short-lived, didn't go into the hundreds or 200 page or issue count. So that does sound semi-accurate, but if not, as always, correct me for the community. Leave those comments down below. I rely on you guys just as much as you all rely on me, so let me know down below. But this is very, very early in Marvel's world, at least in my taste of comics. This is probably going to be the oldest chronologically Marvel comic that will be in my collection, and I probably won't go much lower than this. I believe this was put out in the 1970s, which is definitely not my era of comics by any means. So I'm a little bit hesitant jumping into it, but I love Godzilla, I love kaiju. You do have some very, very well-renowned creators on this, from Doug Meach to Herb Trimpe, just to name a few. And Herb Trimpe, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, I've only heard about because of Larry's Library, who is a creator on YouTube that has really shined a lot of light and given me a lot of vicarious love for this era of Marvel, and I really like to see his excitement for titles like this. So I'm diving in, I'm giving it a try. I like Godzilla enough to at least do that. Will I continue to collect Marvel books or DC books from the 70s or before? Probably not, but this is one that warrants at least me giving it a try and seeing if I'll enjoy it. And it's a book that's on the smaller side, so even though it's going to be wordy, as we all know 70s comics were, and even 80s a little bit, it's at least going to be a semi-short read based on the page count. But that is why it made a spot on the list, despite it being a little bit older of a comic for a modern reader. But we'll jump to the next book that I'm excited about. And coming in at number 7 is X-Men Extinction Agenda, the omnibus, finally coming out as an official omnibus. We do have a release date of October 29th, a cover price of $125, and a page count of 984 pages. Omar and his community at Near Mint Condition is honestly the people to thank here for the list that we all can vote on when it comes to Marvel books. So if you want to head over there and give him thanks, I'm sure all of you are subscribed to him. It's not like there's anybody in the comic community that hasn't heard of Omar at Near Mint Condition at this point, but still give him some thanks for this. Essentially what this story is, mutants versus Genosha, the Genosha government, to generalize the story. But you are going to have a three-way crossover with mutant teams here. You're going to have New Mutants making an appearance. You're going to have X-Men, X-Factor, the original X-Men characters making an appearance here. But my main reason of excitement for this story in general is the heavy focus on Havoc, the character, Alexander Summers, my second favorite X-Men character, my second favorite mutant character in the Marvel Universe, gets an extreme focus in here and some pretty awesome scenes. And honestly, you can tell that this story focuses on that character if you look at that cover, that Jim Lee cover with Havoc front and center. So if you're a Havoc fan, this is a book you want to pick up. If you don't have that OHC and you finally want this collected in something better than an OHC or a trade paperback or something like that, then this is one to pick up. I've said before, I'm not that guy that's going to pick up every Uncanny X-Men and X-Men Omnibus and have everything chronologically, but I am going to pick up the X-Men event books, and this is one. So it's made it into the list, and it's probably my second favorite X-Men story, maybe third favorite. That's maybe a list I should make, but definitely a fan favorite X-Men event story and one of my favorite stories as well. So highly recommend it for my X-Men fans. Highly recommend it for anybody that was about to FOMO buy the OHC for ridiculous amounts of money. Pick it up as an omnibus. That's the route to go. Save yourself some money here and use organic price books. Maybe use a code that I referenced at the beginning of this video. Self-plug. Anyway, that does wrap up number 7, so we can jump into number 6. And at number 6, we have Moon Knight by Jed MacKay, the omnibus. This does have a release date of October 8th, a cover price of $100, and a page count of 848 pages. We've been getting some thin Marvel omnibuses on this list so far. This is a very recent run on Moon Knight, but a very well-received run on Moon Knight. I think this is the title that really put Jed MacKay even more on the map. I know he wrote Black Cat, which was very well received, and this was his first time headlining a more well-known and fan favorite character at Marvel, and people love this run. I think it's the reason that Jed MacKay rolled into being able to headline Blood Hunt, which is the summer event that's taking place at Marvel right now, why he is headlining the Avengers. I don't know how he's writing all these books, but he is, but kudos to him. He's definitely shown people that he's a writer to keep an eye on, and I would probably 100% agree with that. He's a lot of fun, very imaginative. I haven't spoken to anybody that hasn't liked this Moon Knight run. I've only read the early issues of this, have not read anything deeper past, I want to say, like issue 10. But this really does build up the lore of Moon Knight again, make him such an important character, has a very interesting ending from what I've heard. So definitely going to be one that my Moon Knight fans are going to want to read. I'm not a huge Moon Knight fan, so the fact that it's not only on this list at all, but as high into this list as it is pretty impressive. Jed MacKay is, like I said, a writer that if he's on a book, you may want to just check out an issue or two and see if it's something you enjoy, because he's a big name in comics right now, and probably someone we should all be keeping an eye on, because I think he's going to blow up even more than he already is now. But really good stuff from what I've read. Excited to finish the entire run, see where it goes, how it rolls in and crosses over into Moon Knight, and see how Moon Knight becomes even more important into the Marvel Universe, because from what I've heard about this run really does make Moon Knight a more pivotal character in the Marvel Universe, where he's typically that character that's, behind the curtain, on the sidelines, kind of doing his own thing, but this makes him a lot more centralized in the Marvel Universe. So, really excited to check it out. Incredible it has an omnibus already, but it's deserving of that. So that's number 6. And starting off, our top 5 is Radiant Black Year 1 Deluxe Hardcover, finally in a hardcover edition. We do have a cover price of $44.99, a release date of October 23rd. That's what I have here at least. And a page count of 456 pages. Now, this is a title that I have read nothing about, have wanted to read for a very, very long time, but at that point in my collected editions collecting career, I always feel weird calling it a career, I was holding very true to only collecting hardcovers and not collecting trade paperbacks. I actually held true to that rule up until probably about a month or two ago. Finally starting to pick up some trade paperbacks on titles that I don't think will make it to hardcover, and this was one that was going to be on the list until I heard it was finally getting a deluxe edition. I am speechless. I didn't think this was going to happen. This was seriously a talked about title for, I want to say, 5 years now. People have been saying this is so incredible. It has elements and notes from Power Rangers to Blue Beetle to just everything you can possibly think of that has a fan base. I've heard this story has a minor fraction or element of in it, which makes it tick so many people's boxes, makes it an enjoyable title for so many people that read it. Kyle Higgins is the author or the writer on this particular book, which I've only experienced him through Power Rangers, and this having some notes from Power Rangers, sign me up. I loved Kyle Higgins during Power Rangers. This is a title that's has elements of Power Rangers with Kyle Higgins on it again. Sign me up again. I'm going to dive deep, read Radiant Black finally, which feels like I'm having like a euphoric dream even saying that, in a hardcover edition. And here's fingers crossed on more titles from this universe being collected in hardcover, because Radiant Black is just the beginning of an entire universe very similar to that of Marvel or DC that has all of its own heroes and characters within it, and it's being built up to be something big. And this is the first time that we are now seeing a hardcover, and it is so exciting. I can't wait to jump in. It feels like I've discovered a new publisher, a new world to venture and enjoy. So I'm speechless. I'm so pumped. That's why it's in the top 5. That's why it's the first book in the top 5, so high in the list. And I think if you're a Power Rangers fan, if you're a indies book fan or smaller publisher book fan, this is one that you're going to want to check out. People have been talking about this title for years, it feels like, and it feels unreal that I'll finally be able to read it. But that is number 5, so let's jump to number 6. And apparently I'm counting backwards because I said number 6 when I was on number 5. So at number 4, which is what I meant to say, we have Extremity, the deluxe edition. We have a cover price of $49.99, a release date of October 22nd, and a page count of 312 pages. This is the one and only, legendary at this point, very well known at this point, Daniel Warren Johnson, on a title that he is illustrating, he is writing, he is came up with on his own like he tends to do, and those books are almost always well received. This is the writer from Better Ray Bill, which I also think he did the art in, Wonder Woman Dead Earth, which he did the art in as well, Murder Falcon, Do a Powerbomb, which hopefully seeing this in deluxe edition means we'll get a deluxe edition of Do a Powerbomb as well. Just a very, very well-renowned writer and illustrator in the comic book world already, and I feel like he's fairly new to the game, at least in the spotlight where we're all seeing him, and he has blown up, and he's so deserving of it. He has a YouTube channel on YouTube, which I do recommend checking out. He's a very likable guy, awesome guy, talks a lot about obviously comic books and producing comic books, but really, really, really incredible mind on this creator here. So much heart and passion goes into all the titles that he's a part of. During a lot of his interviews, he mentions putting little parts of him, whether it's, he likes wrestling, so he's, does a comic about wrestling or whatever it may be, or he likes wrestling, so that's why he has Transformers doing wrestling moves, because he also is the writer and illustrator on the Transformers title that's going on at Image. At least he's going to be doing that during the first half of it. But such an incredible creator. I highly recommend checking this out. This will be my first time jumping into this title, but one of the more exciting things, which it's going to be the second time I'm going to mention his channel, but Near Mint Condition, that YouTube channel, Omar, that entire community, has their own variant cover on this specific title, which is so cool, so awesome, a dream come true. I would love to get to the point where I can have a variant cover on a comic book. I would probably pass out and black out and feel like I'm having some type of fever dream, but he does have his own cover. So if you do want a really awesome looking cover and show your support and solidarity to Omar and everything that he's done for us in the community, then pick up that cover. I'm sure it will mean a lot to him to see people's collections and see that specific cover that people hunted down just because of how big of fans we are of him as a YouTuber. But anyway, back to the book. Extremity, Daniel Warren Johnson, incredible art, incredible writing. I think Mike Spicer helps him on this with colors. Correct me down below. I think he's helped him with colors on every book he's ever done other than Space Bullet, I want to say. But really, really good stuff. I think if you're going to want to keep an eye on yet another creator that's going to continue to blow up, Daniel Warren Johnson will be one. And starting off our top three, we have Spider-Man by Michelinie and Larson, the omnibus, finally being reprinted. We have a cover price of $100, a release date of October 8th, and a page count of 888 pages. Very similar to that of the Michelinie and Bagley omnibus. We don't have the Amazing Spider-Man on this title because this is collecting multiple Spider-Man titles that these creators have worked on together. This is going to collect a lot of the issues that take place before that Michelinie and Bagley omnibus, but after the Michelinie and Todd McFarlane omnibus. So this is going to be a little gap filler. It was a omnibus before, so if you find one of the old printings out there, you can pick that up. It will be the same book, just with different page thickness and binding and everything, because it's an earlier Marvel omnibus. But we do have two new covers on here. Both of them are incredible, absolutely awesome. I don't know which route I'll go. I'm probably going to leave up the route I'm going to go, but really, really good stuff here. This is Eric Larson on Spider-Man and making a name for himself, almost in a way imitating Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man in some forms and fashions, but he does make Spider-Man his own character, and the character that he probably does that the most with is actually Venom. Eric Larson's Venom is one of my favorite Venoms in all of Spider-Man comics. The jagged teeth, the dripping green saliva from the mouth. Eric Larson was the creator that really, really established that and made that part of Venom's identity to the point where he's almost a monster more than a man or a man with a suit on. Much more of a monstrous character during this particular run, and I'm here for it. I love it. It is 90s comics, so be aware if you're not a 90s comics fan, you are going to get a lot of action in here. You're going to get a lot of villain of the week storylines. You're not necessarily going to get anything award-winning or Eisner winning when it comes to the storytelling or the stories throughout this omnibus, but it is so much fun, such a awesome era of Spider-Man, and it just feels 90s. So if you are a fan of 90s comics, then this is definitely one you're going to want to pick up, especially when it comes to 90s and Spider-Man. This is probably the second most 90s Spider-Man era, behind Todd McFarlane's adjectiveless Spider-Man, that I would probably put up there. So check it out, see if it's something that you would enjoy. Maybe not in the omnibus format, maybe check it out online beforehand. However you guys want to do it, but it is an omnibus I do recommend keeping an eye out for. And coming in at number 2 is Thor by Cates and Klein, the omnibus. This has a cover price of $125, a release date of October 29th, not very spooky to make it to October 29th, and a page count of 1,048 pages, so we are finally getting a bigger book here. This is Donny Cates doing his cosmic thing that he kind of loves to do. We've seen him do it with Cosmic Ghost Rider. We've seen him do it with Venom, introducing us to Null and the King in Black, who was, the Venom symbiote, or the symbiote god that existed in the cosmos. Well, here we are with Thor being introduced to the cosmic side of Marvel, becoming the Herald of Galactus, getting the power cosmic, as well as the Odin Force, being probably the most overpowered version of Thor that we've ever seen in comics, and I love it. This is one of my favorite Thor runs, especially the first half of this specific run. This is going to pave out and pay homage to a lot of that Thor lore when it comes to Donald Blake, Thor versus Thor, Beta Ray Bill versus Thor, Galactus versus Thor. You're going to have a lot of those kind of tropes and lore building fights and engagements taking place during this particular run. This is my favorite design of Thor. I love the glowing blue scion stripes on his armor, hair, the glowing blue scion-like electricity, and the one shot that takes place in here when Thor takes care of a character is so cool. I can't recommend this enough. This is a semi-recent run as well. This is post Jason Aaron Thor, so this came out relatively recent, at least recent in when we're looking at other Marvel omnibuses. So it is going to be a modern run on Thor for my modern readers, but I think anybody can get enjoyment out of this. This title has a lot of, like I said, lore building. It has a lot of fan service, a lot of action, beautiful art throughout this entire run as well. And it's just one of those runs that really makes you respect the character of Thor and the power that he wields, and how easy it would be for him to pretty much just own the entire galaxy if he wanted to. So really incredible run, highly recommend it. This is going to be one that I think a lot of people are going to like, and I think if you like Donny Cates, if you like the entire cosmic world of Marvel that Donny Cates really plays in a lot, if you like Nick Klein, this is going to be one that you're going to want to pick up. And coming in at number 1, which I feel like all of you probably saw coming, is DC versus Marvel, the Omnibus. We do have a cover price of $150, a release date of October 29th, and a page count of 960 pages. This is a title that I struggle to talk about because I really, really don't want to create any type of FOMO where people are purchasing this book rather than paying for rent or paying for food or anything like that. But this is going to be a title that we will more than likely only see one printing of. So if it is something that you do want to pick up, I highly recommend prioritizing it with whatever play money or extra expense you do have for the month. This is not going to be a critically acclaimed omnibus by any means. So it is much more valuable as a collector's item than an actual good comic. But nonetheless, it is one that you may want to keep on your radar because of the fact that we will not be getting any type of reprint after this printing here. So just a reminder to those of you that are interested in this. So the one issue that I do have with this specific collected edition is it's not going to have the JLA versus Avengers crossover, which is actually my favorite Marvel versus DC crossover style of story, which is a huge bummer. This is primarily going to be collecting the crossover titles of Superman versus Hulk or Superman versus Spider-Man, the more self-contained character versus character story or stories that were collected through the years. So major bummer there. Not a huge fan of that. So far, the only reprint of the JLA Avengers we got was the trade paperback for George Perez when he was not feeling too well, and that's really the only thing that we've gotten as far as that particular story. But this here will be collecting the crossovers between DC characters and Marvel characters, which is crazy to even say. Feels again like a fever dream, like it's a book that's not happening. It was majorly delayed, but it's finally coming out, and we will, I believe, have the Amalgam omnibus coming out at some point as well. Correct me if I'm wrong down below. Very rough week, but anyway, don't want to make excuses here. But I do recommend it just for the collector's item aspect. But I just want it so I have those issues all collected in one place. That's my primary excitement for this story. I don't love anything that's collected in here. I don't think anything in here is the best thing I ever read, but I do think this omnibus is worth keeping an eye out for and picking up if you are interested in it, just because of the lack of reprint ability that this omnibus will have once it's released. But that does wrap up today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate each and every one of you guys. This is always one of my favorite videos to make on the channel because I feel like it makes a lot of discussion, gets a lot of books on the viewer's radar, and then when you guys comment, it gets a lot of books on my radar. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Comment down below. Let me know what books you're picking up this month, what books you're excited for this month, your top 10, your top 5, top 3, whatever it may be. I would love to hear from you all. But if you are not a part of the Illuminati and you're watching this video, you can hit the subscribe button to join the community. It's my favorite place on the internet, and I say that every video because I truly mean it. I've made a lot of friends throughout the community, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys that join the community, watch, view, comment, whatever it may be. Also, if you could hit that thumbs up icon and ring that bell, both mean a lot to us here on the channel and help out with the algorithm as well. But I appreciate you guys watching once again. Let me know down below what books I need to watch out for, and of course, stay nerdy.